Artificial intelligence in phylogeny. Let us get familiar with few of the terminology. Phylogeny. Phylogeny refers to the evolutionary history of species. As you can see in the diagrams, we have insects, reptiles, fishes, amphibians, avians, rodents, monkeys, and primates. These are different species, and there is a possibility that these species share a common ancestor. So, we study how these species actually got evolved. That is called as phylogeny. Phylogenetics. It is the study of phylogenies, and phylogenies is study of evolutionary relationships of species. Now, insects and reptiles can have some relations. Similar way, the monkeys and primates, they may have some relationships. And this study is called as phylogenies. And then we do phylogenetic analysis. This means the estimation of evolutionary relationships. That how much relation was there, how much strong or how much weak the relation was there. Then we have phylogenetic trees. We construct phylogenetic trees so that it can represent in a better way that how the species are related with the help of the ancestors plotting in the trees. Now, these phylogenetic trees are hypotheses and they are not definitive facts, which means that with the help of available information we create such trees, and this is not a factual information available with the researchers. Let us understand few of the key points related to phylogenetic trees. The pattern of branching in phylogenetic trees reflects how species or other groups evolved from a series of common ancestors. Here we try to understand the branches. If you see in a tree, we start with a root and then the root splits up into branches. Now these branches further splits up into multiple branches. So you can see that all the leaves and fruits, they're coming from the same root, and we can say that the fruits and the leaves of the trees have common ancestor. Very similar way, in phylogenetic tree, we try to create a tree with representation of nodes as a ancestor or a parent, and then the split, the child nodes, they represent individual species. If two species have common parent or common ancestor, that means they are related. This is what is pattern of branching. Let us understand. In these trees, two species will be called as more related if they are sharing a common ancestor, and we call it as more recent common ancestor, and less if they have a less recent common ancestor. In this particular case, if you see monkeys and primates, they have a more common recent ancestor, because if you see that they basically have the common ancestor over here. Then rodents and primates, they do not have more recent common ancestor, rather at this particular level they have a common ancestor. So the relatedness or how the species are related, it depends on more recent common ancestor. Polygenetic trees can be drawn in various equivalent styles. Now, if you rotate tree about its branch points, it doesn't change the information it carries. For example, now the monkeys can get the place of primates and primates can get the place of monkeys. The tree has been rotated at this particular branching point. Now, does this change any information? The answer is no, it does not change any kind of information. Both the trees are same. As a human beings, we have a tendency of organizing things. It may be organizing our rooms or closets. Now, This is a common tendency that people often like to group and order things they see in the world around them. If you have certain things lying, then normally you will collect those things, and if you have time, you will put them into groups also. Starting with Greek philosopher Aristotle, this desire to classify has extended to many and diverse living things on earth. Most modern systems of classification, they are based on evolutionary relationships among organisms, that is on the organism's phylogeny. If we really see that we are human beings then are male and female, then we have animals, then animals also have got such relationships amongst them. Classification systems based on phylogeny organize species or other groups in a way that reflect our understanding of how they evolved from their common ancestors. So let's say common ancestor was a monkey. This is a layman's example. And from monkeys only, there were so many species they got evolved. So they have a common ancestor as monkey. So that is how basically this classification system has been evolved. Let us look at the anatomy of the phylogenetic tree. Here we can see that a phylogenetic tree, the species or group of interest, are found at the tips of the lines referred to as trees' branches. This is a tree. This diagram has been taken from Taxonomy and Phylogeny by Robert Baer. In this particular diagram, these particular lines, if you see, at the tips we have species A, we have B, C, D, E. So species of interest or group of interest are A, B, C, D, E, and they are the present day species. They are evolved ones. Now, the ancestors are basically lying on the top side. The top side can be a root, or if we are not aware of the root, then without a root we may have a tree. Now, this is a branch point. This is another branch point, and these are the branches. Now, the branch points, if you see, they represent common ancestor. Further moving on top of the tree, then this is again a branch point representing a common ancestor. The branch point where C and D branches are split from, they are common ancestors of C and D. But AB and CD, they also have a common ancestor which is here. So this is how basically we try to understand a tree. For example, phylogenetic tree, the relationships between the five species which are positioned at the end of the branches. So this particular explains the relationship amongst them. The pattern in which branches connect represent our understanding of how the trees is getting splitted and how the species are getting evolved out of common ancestors. Each branch is called as an internal node. So in terms of this particular data structure, how the tree has been evolved, this particular split at this particular divergence, you can call it as an internal node. And internal node has been split into two descendant groups. So those descendants are coming from one internal node or one species. At each branch point lies most recent common ancestor of all the groups descended from that branch. So this is the most recent common ancestor for E and rest of the species of interest. This one is for C and D and A and B. This one is for C and D. So this is the most common recent ancestor. Let us move ahead and try to understand more on it. In this particular presentation and slide, you can see that this is highlighted between A and B. This particular node is most recent common ancestor. And here you can see most recent common ancestor amongst all of them. This is what is most recent common ancestor. Let us move ahead and try to understand. So, if you are still not getting an idea, what you can do is you can start from A and you can move towards the the branches where the split has occurred. So you can move towards that point. You can start from B also. If you find a common point, as you can see here, so this is the most recent common ancestor, or you can in short say MRCA for A and B. For B and C, we have to move from B towards a point, and from C also we have to move towards a point where the split for B and C has taken place. So most recent common ancestor for B and C is this particular point. This is how you need to read that how the species are related. Now, sometimes we cannot identify very strong relationships. Why? Because if you see A, B, and C, so A and B are having a very close MRCA, but A and C or A, B, and C are not having that much close. So we can't say whether A and B are more closely related than C and D in this particular case. That we cannot compare that A and B are more closely related than C and D because we do not have enough information. So, what we can do is we can only compare the timing of branching event that occur on the same lineage, same direct line from the root, and not those that occur on different lineage. That means this particular line, it is splitting here, and after that whatever split is taking next to it, and after that whatever split is taking on the other branch next to it, we cannot compare C and D and A and B. That is not basically an information which is available to us. We can just say that A and B are more closely related and C and D are more closely related. We can say this much, but we cannot identify the strength. For that, we may require more information. Let us try to understand that how different ways can be there of representing the phylogenetic trees. They can be blocky, diagonalized, oriented vertically, or flipped on their sides. So here you can see three examples. So these two are blocky. One is horizontal, another is vertical, and this one is basically having diagonal lines. But if you see, we do not need to think of that what is the length of this line, that has no meaning over here. Rather than how the branches are getting split, that has got more meaning. You can see that A and B, the branch is getting split for A and B over here. Branch for A and B is getting split over here. In the third diagram, the branch is getting split over here. It doesn't matter what is the shape of the tree, but how the branches are getting split, that actually shows the relatedness or how the species are related to each other. Now, these trees represent identical relationships because you can see that how the branching is done and how the split has taken place. So there is no difference. Although the shape of the tree is different, but the kind of relationships A, B, C, D, E are showing, they are same and identical. There is no difference between them. And therefore, we will conclude that the branching pattern is same and therefore they are same. Now, the identical information in these different looking trees reminds us that it's the branching pattern, not the length, which we have already discussed. Now, another important thing to understand is if you rotate, let's say if you rotate x and yz, if you rotate and we will get zy and x, both are same trees. There is no difference. So rotation from a particular branching point doesn't change any kind of information in a particular tree. So they have the same meaning. That is something we need to understand. So there is a concept, till now we have been seeing that binomial, okay, like binary. So in binary, what is happening? From one branch only two split, okay, that is means binary. But now if you have more than two, like we have P, Q and R, so this is called as polytomy. So poly means many, tummy means cuts, so many cuts. So branch is split or cut into many branches, okay, many lineages. So this is called as poly. We do not have enough info to determine the branching order. So here we do not have enough information that P should come first or Q should come first or R should come first. That information is not with us. So even if we will switch or swap them, that has got the same meaning. Now let us understand where do these trees actually come from. So to generate such a phylogenetic tree, researchers and scientists they often compare and analyze many characteristics of the species or the groups which are involved. These characteristics can be external morphology like shape and appearance. They can come from internal anatomy, behaviors, biochemical pathways, DNA, protein sequences, and even the characteristics of fossils. So this is how these trees are getting created. So that's it. I hope you did like this particular video. Please do like, subscribe and share our channel and share these videos to the needy. Thank you.